Wait a minute. Mike's at his house, right?
Yeah, where else would he be?
Why is he using the old style microphone? What
Because
happened?
I don't know where my other. Because when I got home, so I was at home for one day, and I just blah, threw everything in this room, and then I left again, and I just got home, I don't know, 4 hours ago, and 5 hours ago.
What did you get home from?
I was at fat camp.
Well, you look great. It looks like you really, those granola bars are paying off.
Well, I got rewarded with some banana bread when I got home, so that's
good. We're all very proud of you, Michael.
It's an enabling household,
right?
No, I did the big comedy tour. I was out with Kyle Kinane for 6 shows, but five dates all over the I-35 corridor.
Did you play a gig at Zany's?
No, but we talked about Zany's.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Apparently, Norm Macdonald used to have the contracts from his managers and stuff would say do not give Norm cash.
That's probably good advice. That speaks to some rather sad issues with substance abuse, I think,
or just gambling.
Oh, was he a gambler?
That was kind of his. I think that was his main deal. He was a degenerate gambler. He lost he lost everything he owned 3 times.
All 8 of his jet skis were gone.
All his katanas.
They buried him with one of those jet skis.
Mm-hmm. And one of the katanas.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Right. Specifically, the funeral director was instructed to put him atop the jet ski and stab him through his body into the seat of the jet ski.
There's too many fucking rules about what you can do with a dead body.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules, man.
I know.
Bullshit.
I mean, we've covered some of that. Now you can mulch a person in some states.
Yes.
And was there something about a sky burial or something?
You can't possibly have a sky burial.
That's where you cut somebody up and let the vultures eat them.
Vultures don't eat from the sky, though.
Yeah, they're always on the ground.
They take a bloody stump and fly off with it.
One time when I was going to Brian's house, there were a bunch of vultures right by.
Probably a sky burial.
Maybe. In the Middle Ages, they used to load dead bodies on catapults and shoot them over into the walls of a castle.
They spread plague, right?
That's how they spread plague, and also just because it's funny.
It is pretty funny. Put them in funny clothes.
Is that how you want us to remember you, Mike?
Yeah, but there's a thing attached that I'm doing the Wilhelm scream over and over again.
Wait, Brian, do you know what the Wilhelm scream is?
Yeah, it's the thing that you hear in every movie that is annoying. Oh. Yeah, I know something.
We're really educating you on cinematic history here.
How had you educate me? I already knew what it was.
Well, it's probably because we've forced you to do study on off times.
Yeah. You've exposed me to many a movie that has that scream in it. The first one I remember is on the bridge in Temple of Doom. Is that where it comes from?
No, I mean, it's from the 50s. They just discovered it, and they don't know who did it. I forget what movie it was for.
It was, some cowboy movie, and I think the actor's name was Wilhelm, and he gets shot off a horse, and I don't know who decided, it's not that remarkable. They just kind of
it's just funny.
Somebody just thought it was funny. It was the first inside joke in history.
Oh, yeah. So for the listener, the Wilhelm scream, I mean, you kind of heard the history of it. Just go onto YouTube and enter Wilhelm scream, and 1,000 examples will come up because it's been in so many movies. And it's just a silly sounding scream that I think Steven Spielberg in particular really loved it.
You can also just watch Temple of Doom, and when Mola Ram throws one of his thuggy guards off the bridge into the waiting maw of crocodiles, you will hear the scream. It's very scary.
They should have. That movie is the reason why there's PG-13, but it should be the reason why there's an S, because it was scarier than R.
So what's the deal with Gremlins then? I've heard both. I've heard Gremlins is the reason for PG-13, and I've heard that Temple of Doom is the reason for PG-13.
I think there was an argument probably being made at some point, because there's old movies that are PG that have titties in them.
Yeah.
I love titties too. I'm a big
Beastmaster. That's a PG titty movie.
I think that line from Mike is the cornerstone of his comedy.
I love titties.
And it just turns into his punchline
Well, that's
over and over
my
again.
character on stage. I mean, that's my catchphrase, the titty man. So it's like Mike, the titty man, Wiebe.
I'm just imagining all the county fairs with the comedy stylings of Mike, the titty man, Wiebe.
Oh, you know the titty man's going to go in there. What if they change the name Best Buy to Breast Buy? Oh, you know the titty man would be working there.
Just premise and whether or not the titty man would enter. That's the whole bit.
Titty man would own that company. Oh, when you're talking about some chicken breasts, oh, you know Titty man be eating those.
Well, I can tell it was a very successful comedy tour.
I know. I've been writing all this new material.
All right, you're inspired. That's good.
It was real fun. We played a show in San Antonio, and in the small room there was a hardcore band, and I guess like the singer had seen us, and so like after our show, like their show was starting, so we rolled over there. The singer of that band, like at one point, gave a shout out to Ron Paul, which was not something I'm used to. But then later, just made some mention of you know, he did. At first, he was like, "I'm going to tell I can tell jokes. I can tell a joke too." And then he told an Andrew Dice Clay joke that didn't go over as well as I think he was planning on it going. And then he was just like, "Well, you know, it's definitely better than those liberal retards next door." And I could not have been more delighted. That was like, of anything I've ever done, that made it all worth it.
Was it the combination of the terms, or was it, what did you enjoy being called the most?
And then it was funny because like the bass player of the band was super nice. Like he like watched the whole set. And he was like a big Kyle Kinane fan and probably a bigger Mike Wiebe fan. But he was actually a really sweet guy, very nice. And so we were talking to him after the show, and we were kind of like goofing about it. And the singer guy came by and I can't remember what he said, but Kyle was like, "Yeah, we're the liberal retards over here. Good show." And he was just like, "Well, thanks for the gas prices." And
what?
And Kyle was like, yeah, that is my fault. And then he was like, "I'm just kidding. It was a great show." And then just kind of like scurried off real quick.
He thought his witty rejoinder would be the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
Once I issue the gas prices line, they will leave cowering.
That is our fault. Mm-hmm. It is our fault. That's why I think steampunk needs to get going.
That's right.
Sooner.
I agree. We need more brass.
Yeah. And wood and monocles and top hats and, well, Jules Verne. Anything Jules Verne related.
There's a lot of former church camp counselors who are in desperate need of a personality right now. So
yeah.
we need to return to was that the shortest blip of weird fad ever? Like I think the length of the blip with video games was probably the longest, but like the short blip of human beings adopting leather pants with lots of straps as though they were designed to wear while riding a steam-powered gyrocopter, right? Or just having like goggles on your head.
I would love to know like what some other like weird like mini fads that only lasted a second, but they just weren't in our, you know, cultural. Like I know there was this thing in Mexico with these Tejano guys would like, they'd wear these boots, but the boots, when they go to the tip, like at the toe, they would keep going and then curl around in this big circle. So it was, you know, it was like these
like elf boots,
like like elf boots. Yeah, exactly, like elf boots. And it would be all these like gangster. It would be like what do you call cartel guys? Like it was like cartel. It was like some gangster shit. Wow. But everything else was all like, you know, pudgy dudes stuffed into Western wear with the big loud shirts.
Yeah. Speaking of, you know, fads that I'd be okay with going away. I think that pudgy guys in Western wear.
You want slim guys with fucking big dinguses.
Dinkus. That's a word from an unheralded earlier time.
Well, we got those notes from the network saying not to swear so much. So
right.
I'm trying to adhere.
Good job.
Adhere to their notes.
Very proud of you. And just wait until we get to the end of the fourth story tonight.
The listener's in for a treat.
The listener's in for a teat. Oh, looks like the titty man's back. Looks like the titty man's back. Oh, you're in for a teat. You know the titty man's going to be there.
Welcome to INS, the International News Service, your source for the most important weird news from across the globe. With news analyst Kevin Harrison, actor, comedian, and musician Mike Wiebe, and professional commentator Brian Camp. INS, the news you need.
You think Titty Man could get a Hooters gig?
Hooters is like clean. You can take your parents to Hooters.
Some people do take their parents to Hooters.
Yeah, who took their parents to Hooters? Oh yeah, Mark's. Yeah,
brother.
That's right.
Yeah, that's staying in.
His brother doesn't listen to this.
Might.
His mom might, though.
He does listen to the Titty Man podcast. Titty Man podcast is also incredibly right wing.
Just lots of bitching about gas prices and admiring.
Titty Man. There's a sticker that says Titty Man. It says likes equals titties. Dislikes equals vaccines.
All right. I think it's time to get started here. Welcome to the International News Service. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin Harrison, along with...
I am Brian Camp.
And I am T.A. the Titty Man Thomerson, a.k.a. Mike Wiebe. Mark Ryan's not with us right now. He's at band practice, his hit rock band Vidicon.
Right.
They've got a big gig, which is I'm in show business, so I can kind of break down some of this language. It means to play a concert.
They're playing the same place you just played, right?
Yes, the Texas Theatre.
Ooh, why he's not here, Mike? Did you leave something for him?
Yeah, I left something. It came from inside of my body.
The suspense. I can't wait to find out what it was.
All right. Well, our first story comes to us from the BBC.
Bad Boys Club.
Bad Boys Club.
A California man sought the advice of a psychic to help his failing marriage. During the session, the psychic read his tarot cards and told him his tarot cards and told him he had a curse placed upon him.
Wait, there's a boy psychic?
No, the psychic is a woman.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the man is going to the psychic.
That's very feminist for me to appreciate a woman doing anything. Many times, there's a lot of people that think that only men can be psychics, but guess what? Women can do anything a man can do twice as fast. And when a woman does it, guess what? She's got titties. Titty Man's back. Titty Man's back right here.
During the session, the psychic read his tarot or tarot cards and told him he had a curse placed upon him, quote, by a witch hired by his ex-girlfriend. And unless the curse was removed, it would ruin the man, his children, and his marriage.
This sounds exactly like what happened to Jamie Foxx.
What happened to Jamie Foxx?
He just got cursed. He hasn't made a good movie lately, has he?
Oh.
She added that the man and his family would be, quote, unhappy and in danger if the curse was not lifted, but that she could save the marriage if the man paid her $5,100 to exercise the spell. The man paid a $1,000 deposit, but said that further sessions did not in any way help his marriage, and he continued suffering from sleepless nights, anxiety, and anguish. Now the man is suing for $25,000 in damages for fraud, negligence, civil conspiracy, and both intentional and negligent infliction of emotional distress. He also claims the psychic's website bills her as a, quote, psychic love specialist and a PhD life coach, which, quote, made him more confident that he was speaking with a professional that could help him. The lawsuit also names as defendants the psychic's husband, daughter, and her landlords.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, as a celestial lawyer, this case does have legs. You know, you're going to need to prove, you know, the quantum mechanics were not done in a professional enough and timely enough manner that the spirit guides,
right.
You know, you're going to need to get some spirit guides on the stand for sure and get some info about who, what, when, where, how, when, and when again, and when before.
Mm-hmm. You know, they say the four most important things of any case is when, and when.
Yep.
It's, you know, Mike, as a sound bather, you're probably going to be able to relate to this, but certainly in the quantum magic world, for a long time, this is why we've been arguing for increased regulation of the profession, because it's not so much that we're worried about fraud, because I don't think this is a fraud. We're worried about people using their powers for evil. And here I think we've got a legit psychic who has done some pretty dangerous things with her gift.
Exactly. Well, as I would like to say that as the titty man, women don't belong behind a crystal ball. The titty man is right wing.
Oh, I'm sorry, but thank you for. We need to.
Yeah,
that's part of the callback. I think is the surprising, the seemingly surprising political leanings of the titty man.
The titty man is right wing and loves titties. Look, you can't say that the titty man doesn't love women. Mm-hmm. He loves titties; they're literally his favorite thing. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't feel that a woman's place is behind, you know, a Ouija board or a crystal ball. He believes that a woman's place is behind her titties.
Where else could she be?
Well, I mean, if you're practicing quantum magic, who knows? One titty could be in this dimension, one titty in that dimension.
Oh,
and the woman,
multi-dimensional titties.
She could be astral traveling. I will say though, is there in that celestial law, but in human law, could there be anything like if you guarantee some shit to happen, can't you sue somebody and you give someone money and you sign a contract? Can't you like sue them for not making the shit happen?
I mean, you could sue anybody for anything, but whether
and
he
I
has
have.
a case is, you know, you are going to a psychic on the one hand. On the other hand, she seemed to say like make up a whole narrative that only she could solve if you paid her a lot of money.
But I mean, this is kind of standard John Edwards-y kind of shit, right?
Well, on the other hand, probably the best thing for his marriage was not cheating on his wife.
No, I don't know. Let's not
cheat on his wife?
Let's not cast too many stones before we know the wife and what her cooking was like. This is the titty man talking again. This is the titty man.
No.
He's the titty man talking.
This is the last episode of International News Service, but go ahead.
This is the titty man talking right now.
Yeah.
What are them titties like?
I think you could have asked that question and not announced who it was who's talking.
Well, I want to make it clear. There's a difference between Mike talking and the titty man.
It's merely a persona.
I'm gonna go back like Mike. Okay, Mike is back on from here on. Right from, I mean, not necessarily titty man may come back, but I'm just saying I'm Mike right now. So I don't know.
Well, just think of any salesman, Mike, who promises that their product is going to do something that.
My car can drive to the moon. You need to drive to the moon. What if I sold you a car that drove you to the moon?
I mean, it does seem like, well, this story would be like, oh, what a poor sap if this was like 50, 60 years old. But like, you haven't heard about this at all. You haven't heard that it's just the most rote move in the psychic grift. Right. That and reading the lines on your penis. Those are the two things that psychics do the most.
What can they tell by reading the lines in your penis?
Oh, your future, your past, your diet.
Where do you find these psychics, Mike?
Oh, Harry Hines in Dallas.
Okay, a street in
Dallas that has a lot of strip clubs and prostitution, but also a bunch of psychics.
That's actually true. There are a lot of psychics.
Right.
There are.
So I get the feeling, and I hate to say this because I'm worried that this might be the trick to summarizing almost every story we cover as in-depth as we like to, but isn't this just dumb person does thing with expected results?
Well, if you look at it that way, we're not going to have a podcast much longer.
Okay. Then this is not that at all.
I think we've covered a lot of smart people doing smart things. The Bigfoot stories.
Yeah.
The roller coaster architect.
Yeah. And some tragic stories. The young lady who ate all of her hair and formed the hairball. That was sad.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I take it back. This story in particular is about a dumb person who did a thing and had expected results.
You know, I feel like most of our listeners are highly intelligent.
Oh, I think so.
But maybe that one of our listeners is driving around and he's playing this and he's got some dim bulb relative in the car with him or some dim bulb friend, you know, a coworker. He's picking some coworker up somewhere who's just a real dipshit.
Like an Irish person with a Scot sitting next to him.
Exactly. And an Alaskans visiting somewhere in Ireland, and the Irish and the fucking Alaskan, they got real confused because it said like walk this way to get out of the airport, and they're just looking around going like, well, do I walk like a duck? Do I walk backwards? Do I skip? What do I do? And the Irish person's like, I'm not going to do an Irish accent but they're like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I feel like Irish people say that a lot.
You just dumb fuck Alaskan. Wipe the drool from your mouth and let me give you a ride into Cork. And on the way there, they're listening to this, and then maybe we save some just hillbilly dipshit a few bucks from the next time they run into a psychic with a great big rack on her titty man's back.
So our next story comes to us from the New York Times.
The Gray Lady.
Talking about Statue of Liberty?
Yeah.
The Gray Lady. I think that's what they call the New York Times, right? The Gray Lady.
The Gray Lady?
The Gray Lady.
I don't think that's right at all.
Let me ask you this.
Mark's going to look it up and he's going to leave it in.
Yeah, let me ask you this. How big are the Gray Lady's titties? Titty man's back.
Oh, man, this is already either the one I'm most proud of or least proud of. I don't know how much I hate this or love this.
Didn't you tell me that your dad told you he felt that way about you, Brian?
Wow. Jeez, man. What's that all about? Just out of nowhere, Kevin.
Trying to move things forward,
by cutting to the quick of some really hard emotional things I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Message received, Kevin. Tell your story. I don't know.
In early October, a woman in the Canadian town of Golden, British Columbia, awoke to the sound of an explosion and what she described as, quote, drywall debris all over my face, unquote. She turned on the lights to discover a hole in her ceiling, and when she couldn't find what caused it, she called 911. Well, in England, that's 999.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's true.
What is it in Ireland?
I don't know. I'll have to ask the Irish listeners about that.
Oh, yeah, or the French listeners. I would like to know in Denmark what it is as well.
They don't have emergencies in Ireland. They're prepared for everything.
I find that hard to believe. But
wherever you are around the world, why don't you email us at internationalnewspod@gmail.com and let us know what you dial when there's an emergency.
I feel like that won't get us on any lists at all. That seems like a good thing to have emailed to you en masse.
While on the phone with 911, she noticed a rock about the size of a large man's fist between two floral pillows on her bed. A police officer who went to the woman's home suggested that it could have something to do with two explosions heard in the town that accompanied a fireball seen streaking across the sky.
This is Ray Stevens. I don't know how to make that a joke, but I want to so bad. Oh, yes, they call him the streak.
The University of Western Ontario later confirmed that the rock was actually a meteorite. researchers found a second meteorite in a field about a mile from the woman's home. The woman, who hasn't apparently fixed her roof, said, quote, "It just seems surreal. Then I'll go in and look in the room, and yep, there's still a hole in my ceiling. Yep, that happened."
Yep, that happened. Okay, a meteor hit me and lighted. I'll tell you what, it's the hardest rock I've had next to me in this bed for a while. Ha! Give me some white wine. Oh boy!
Still don't know if I'm proud or hated.
Tell you what, I'm quicker to get hit by a meteorite than I am to meet a man in this town. Another martini over here. It's noon somewhere.
The University of Western Ontario also told the woman that the odds of a meteorite hurtling into someone's home and hitting a bed in any given year is about 1 in 100 billion.
Yeah, I bet the odds are better than that of meeting a single man who's not already taken and gay over the age of 40. Yeah, I will have some more rosé.
Every 2004 sitcom is combining at once in Mike's head right now. It's a wonderful thing to see.
Well, I hope that she didn't start growing the plants out of her.
Oh.
Remember in that Stephen King creep show, and he gets hit by meteor shit, and then he starts growing plants out of him? I don't know. That's pretty cool. Did she make any dough on that meteorite?
That's a good question.
It didn't say, but I know for a fact, it talked in the article about that meteors can go for a lot at auction. Some collection recently went for, I want to say it was like $4 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be worth a shit ton, a super fresh meteorite like that.
Yeah.
2 of them, unless you didn't own the field next door. I wonder if those Canadians just took it.
In February, Christie's held a record-shattering auction of rare meteorites, raking in more than $4 million.
Who bought it?
I'm going to guess it was Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I guess he's got money again, right?
Yeah.
The streaming market has to have benefited him to no end.
Yeah, he was in Willy's Wonderland.
Did that do well?
I don't think so.
It was okay. I saw it. It was just fun more than anything else.
He works. He's definitely busy a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he lives in an RV. What do you think? Like a really nice one, not like
I think he's got that crypt in New Orleans. I bet he lives in there.
He doesn't live in a crypt.
A mausoleum, I guess.
Oh, well, he might live in a mausoleum.
Yeah, I don't think he lives there. I think he's going to live there when he's dead, but I don't think he's going to live there until he's dead.
Like a really nice RV or motorhome, if you prefer.
Do you think it was something that Exhibit maybe pimped? A ride that Exhibit pimped?
Perhaps. There's a good chance that happened.
Perhaps it was pimped. Perhaps it was pimped.
So, our next story comes to us from Tampa Bay Times.
Tampa Bay, home of the Buccaneers.
And this was submitted to us by Blake, who submitted a story a couple weeks ago about pet adoption in China.
Thanks, Blake.
Right now, Blake has submitted 2 stories. They both made it on the show, so he's batting 1,000. Giggle Waters, a social club and screening room is...
No. Giggle Waters is a sex dungeon.
It's a restaurant and movie theater located
more like a restaurant. Just like Twin Peaks or Hooters. Titty Man.
There we go.
Is located in Safety Harbor, Florida.
Safety Harbor?
The owner just happens to be a former host of the Travel Channel show Paranormal Paparazzi. So it's a complete surprise that the restaurant just happens to be haunted.
I auditioned for that role.
Did you really?
Yeah. Didn't get it, though.
How many people are on it?
I've never watched it. I told the producers to fuck off.
You say you just lost one audience member.
They said my ponytail was too long, and I said, fuck you.
That's right.
I'm not cutting my hair for anybody. I wouldn't cut my hair for my stepmom. I'm definitely not going to cut my hair for you. My stepmom, before her and my dad got married, she kept begging me to cut my hair for the wedding photos. I said, fuck you.
Yep.
I'm 41. I can do what I want.
That's right. You'd wear the tux jacket, but you're wearing a goddamn Iron Maiden shirt.
I'm wearing my slip-on Vans. I told her that. I'm wearing my slip-on Vans. I'll wear black ones. That's fine. You got to buy them for me. My dad didn't say shit, though.
So it's a complete surprise that the restaurant is now haunted.
Oh.
Yeah. She said, quote, "Years later, I buy a restaurant. We realized very quickly that we're not the only ones here."
So she's a paparazzo, huh?
So she knows all the gossip on the dead people. Guess who was seen canoodling in the astral plane? Why? It was Marilyn Monroe along with Don Amici. Ooh, that's an age gap.
Don Amici? Are there?
Yeah, who must be cheating on someone else. And guess what else we found out? Oh, it looks like Frank Sinatra is starting to do Pilates.
But never fear, because the haunting is being looked into by paranormal investigator Stormy Daniels.
Wait, what? Who?
So, in case
the Titty Man's back for this story. You just got the Titty Man a little bit more interested because the Titty Man has some in-depth research on this case.
So, in case listeners forgot, unlike the Titty Man, who clearly did not, Stormy Daniels was a porn star who had an affair with...
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Who had an affair with Donald Trump in 2006. And in 2016, she was paid $130,000 to sign a non-disclosure agreement about the affair.
Allegedly.
In 2018, this became public knowledge. It led to several lawsuits, and now Stormy Daniels investigates hauntings.
Hell yeah, she does.
And for folks outside of our nation, Donald Trump is a former president of the United States.
They probably didn't know that, so I'm glad that you.
I'm not going to assume that their lives are ruled by what we do over here.
Yeah, by American pop culture.
Yeah, they got their own shit going on.
They got stuff going on in other places. There's more interesting things. In Korea, they have the Squid Games.
There's that haunted castle in Portugal, right? Or is it in Spain?
I think this might be Carnival season right now.
Carnival.
Yeah.
Staff have reported numerous signs of paranormal activity, including repeatedly opening in the morning to find a stack of change on the bar that always totals $2.14. They also report seeing a man in a seersucker suit walk into the bathroom, but he would never come back out.
Maybe he just ate too much of the calamari.
And there's also a little girl in a white dress staff have seen playing hide and seek. But once they look for her, she's gone.
Well, maybe she's just good. Yeah. She's just good at it.
She's still there. She's probably in the equipment trunk.
She's a hide and seek prodigy.
Maybe she swam down to an old refrigerator and got locked in.
Ooh. Punky Brewster will have to save her. The Titty Man wants you to get back to Stormy Daniels, all right?
Oh, well, we're going to get there. We'll be there in a minute.
I thought there was going to be a Punky Brewster connection.
Oh, that's something that I've said when I'm watching Stormy Daniels. I'll get there in a minute.
It turns out...
I'm talking about coming when I say that.
It's.
I love Titty Man loves not being on terrestrial radio so I can talk like that.
It's a very aggressive move you're making this evening, Mike.
Titty Man's an alpha male.
There you go. Of course he is. Of course he is.
So it turns out the theater used to be a funeral home where 9,000 bodies had been viewed. Now, Stormy Daniels is investigating the location as part of her latest project titled... I
got some further to investigate.
Part of her latest project titled The Spooky Babes Show, which she describes as
clever.
A, quote, conglomeration of passionate investigators, occultists, psychics, and healers drawn together by a fervent desire to pursue and explain and sometimes debunk paranormal phenomenon wherever it may be. Stormy Daniels declined to comment on her findings before her new project drops, but
She's a professional.
Yeah, that's a pro move.
the owner of Giggle Waters said Stormy Daniels conducted 2 investigations and, quote, she has a haunted doll she travels with, and in the first one, that doll said her name and talked about one of the other people in the group, and then in the second one, her co-host saw the guy in the seersucker suit.
You know, people wear seersucker suits. That's not something to be. I see people in seersucker suits all the time.
I wear seersucker suits 3 days out of the week, and if the weather's good.
Describe your seersucker suits for us.
Well, it's brown, and it's shiny, and it's gray. Kind of gray-blue. It's like a bluish gray.
Ooh.
And it's kind of shimmery. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it.
Do you remember Mr. Peppermint?
I do, Mr. Peppermint.
Oh, Muffin, Mr. Oh, that was.
Oh, this Muffin. I remember you, Mr. Peppermint.
Mr. Peppermint wore a pink seersucker with a boater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Peppermint, the father of Gibby Haynes from the Butthole Surfers.
True.
The band that almost got Brian Camp into a fight in the 7th grade because someone was upset by the back of his shirt.
Wow. That wasn't 7th grade, was it?
Oh, no, it was the 10th grade.
Yeah. I probably had it coming. I don't know.
Yes, it was a confusing title. It's a confusing name.
Mm-hmm.
It's a name of a band. It's a name that probably, especially in that era, got more successful than a band with that name had the right to be.
True.
Right. And probably more successful than it would now. Like, I feel like that would be even more of a bar now than it would have been then.
Well, now it wouldn't be like offensive. It would just be more of like, this is like a novelty band.
Right.
Like this is like, you know, what do they do? Like a Weird Al thing where they cuss more?
You sound like you have a cigar in your hand. What do they do? Was it like a Weird Al thing?
What do they do? Like a Weird Al thing where you just cuss a whole bunch?
Yeah, it was probably my fault for having words on my shirt. I'm sure I had it coming.
Yeah, well, it's definitely challenging people, you know.
I mean, you know, it was
it's a very confrontational thing. Words and no logo. What were you thinking?
That's why I don't wear shirts with any words on them anymore.
That's why you don't wear shirts at all anymore.
No shirts.
You don't even read anymore.
I don't know how. I've forgotten. That's why I'm so glad to have you read the news to me once a week.
Just the important stories.
I have a very odd view of what's going on in the world based on things you've told me. I'm afraid to go outside because I might get hypnotized or bewitched by a giant frog wearing a conical hat before he jumps into a stream.
That's why I don't go. That's why I will never travel over a stream again.
No, man, there'd be nothing worse. Actually, there would be. I think half of your remaining time on Earth would be just nothing but joy at seeing a giant Wind in the Willows frog with a conical hat that I assume is blue with moons and stars on it. Yeah, just like a classic wizard hat and a magic wand. And then the other half would be terror that this was going to be the last thing I saw before I...
Yeah.
Or you go to Frogland, right? And you meet Roddy Piper. That's Frogtown.
I bet... I've never done DMT, but I bet, like, you know, it's the chemical that your brain releases when you die. And I would imagine there's a lot of froggy-related visions.
Armies of wizard frogs coming at you. But in a way that's calming, I think. I wouldn't be... I mean, I imagine that would be such a pleasant way to go, I think. I wouldn't be afraid of a giant frog. I think frogs are very friendly looking.
So Mike wants to be catapulted into a village through the air.
I don't want that. I'm just saying that's an option.
Okay, so...
I haven't decided what I want. I mean, it's also... The point is moot. I got that amulet, and I'm not going to...
Right, you are immortal.
So if Mike were to go top 5, one of them is being catapulted, and then Brian's is going to Froggyland.
Well, you mean Froggyland, which is going to be the States now from
right
Dubrovnik?
There's 2 different Froggylands you can end up in.
Froggyland. Yeah. So
There's a lot of
that
callbacks this episode.
well, they're important callbacks. I think one of the reasons I am enthralled by and enchanted, if you will, by a giant frog wearing a conical hat that is blue with stars and moons.
Did he have a wand or a cane? I can't remember.
He had a wand.
Yeah.
It had to have a star at the end of it, right? Like a perfect, with his flippered hands, like he could weirdly hold it with like the suction cups at the end. But seeing the Froggyland displays in that story is what makes me convinced that I would be pleasantly enchanted by a frog wizard. Fair. And if that's what killed me, it would probably be relatively painless, and I would die happy.
I don't think they would kill you.
I think they would take me to their homeland.
Yeah, I think they would maybe walk you through the death process, but they wouldn't be the ones that would kill you.
Yeah,
that would probably be osteoporosis.
Right. I have horrible bones.
Well, I feel like you would starve to death because you would get to, they'd be like, we made a special dinner for you, and then you would sit down and it would just be like extra fresh, and it would just be like a giant bowl of maggots.
Frogs don't eat maggots.
No. They eat flies.
I'd eat flies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I forgot how much you like flies. Anyway, our last story comes to us. Oh wait, what?
No, I thought we got away from Stormy Daniels. And
you had more.
Her Spooky Babes. What is it? Spooky Babes show?
Spooky Babes.
Spooky Babes show. Where
can we see the Spooky Babes show?
I don't know, but I suspect she will get the word out virally.
Mm. Oh, that's how people do things now, I hear.
Yeah.
That's right. When it's ready to drop.
Maybe we can interview her. Maybe she would want that exposure.
That would be cool.
Stormy Daniels, if you're out there, we would love to have you on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's reach out to our press people and see if we can get her on the horn.
And I think we can commit to only asking her about her paranormal investigations, because that's probably all we care about.
I would 100% be down to that, because I think it's the very funny thing to do.
Yep.
But keep referencing that there's nothing else to talk about. Right. That there's no
right. We've exhausted all of our questions.
Yeah, since there's
no one wants to know anything else.
Since there's no other interest of note to discuss, I suppose we'll let you go. Oh, wait. How did you get the name Stormy? Any relation to Jeff Daniels? To actor Jeff Daniels? No?
So our last story comes to us from NPR.
Normal People's Radio.
No pizza required.
No pizza required.
No pants required.
Bakery in Leeds, England, called Get Baked, has been forced to pull its top-selling items after UK regulators discovered that the cookies contained illegal sprinkles.
What clued them into that, other than the obvious title that screams we make marijuana in our stuff?
Also, sprinkles, Kevin, I believe, are in some parts of the country, if not the world, called jimmies.
Sprinkles or jimmies?
Mm-hmm. Jimmies, I believe.
And in some parts of the world, you could say that you left some sprinkles from your Jimmy. meaning some small pieces of pee-pee from your penis. Some urine shakes from your penis.
We're hitting the heights. This will be the episode that we submit for the potties.
Yes.
That's a thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
For sure. The podcasts that are all about fecal matter.
I expect to be recognized for our efforts. Yes. I'm assuming that
outstanding work in the category of juvenilia humor.
The sprinkles are used on the bakery's raspberry glazed donut cookies, as well as on an item called the Birthday Bruce, which is a 12-layer slab of chocolate cake. The problem seems to be that the sprinkles...
12 layers? Isn't that a lot?
Yeah, it was expensive. It was like $12.
For a cake? That's a good deal for a cake.
That's a great deal.
No, just for that slice.
A slice costs $12?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. In this economy?
Well, not anymore, because they pulled it from their menu because of the sprinkles.
What if I lick the sprinkles off?
They haven't dealt with that. Maybe you need to go try.
Okay. No, it just feels like there's a problem and I have a solution.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know why I have to think of fucking everything.
Yeah, you're getting shut down. I don't like this. This seems like you're putting a lot of effort in here, Mike. And
yeah, I'm giving a lot of E.
a lot of E.
The problem seems to be that the sprinkles contain a coloring known in the U.S. as red number 3.
What do they call it in England?
They had a name for it, but it was just some chemical name that I couldn't pronounce.
It's one of those British lisps, and they go, red number 3.
We got to talk about badgers. I mean,
Yeah.
Erythrosine?
Erythrosine, sure.
Yeah.
Erythrosine.
Just that marble mouth
Yeah.
nonsense speak.
Give me some more sprinkles.
Studies
Form in me mouth.
Studies show that high doses of red number 3 can cause hyperactivity in children as well as cancer, and there have been some calls to have it banned in the US. The UK only allows red number 5 for a limited number of uses, mainly in cocktail cherries and to decorate eggshells.
Well, wait a minute.
Yes.
We're talking about red number 3, and now you're talking about red number 5.
I'm sorry. It's all red number 3. I just had a typo.
Okay. So red number 5 is still okay.
Yes. As far as I know.
Well, why didn't they use red number 5?
Because it's not as vibrant. Red number 3 is like a super vibrant red.
Is it made from crushed bug shells? Isn't that the...
I don't know what erythrosine is made from. It might be the one that's made from coal, actually.
Oh, you're trying to put more coal miners out of work.
Apparently, this gets to your question earlier, Mike. Apparently, a secret informant told authorities about the contraband sprinkles, while the owner claims he didn't even know they were illegal.
Yeah, I mean, who knows that stuff's... I would know that that's illegal. I remember one time some cop tried to write me a ticket for jumping off a bridge. And he said, ignorance is no excuse for committing a crime. And I said, yes, it is. And that's where the argument ended, because he knew I was right.
That's what that led you to a career in celestial law.
Exactly. I argued my way out of that terrestrial case. I was like, let's take this to a higher court.
So the owner said, quote, "It is highly unlikely that we will find any legal sprinkles that we will use as a replacement. British sprinkles just aren't the same. They're totally shit, and I hate them." The owner is now calling the incident Sprinklegate and added that the whole situation is, quote, "very fucking annoying."
Huh. I mean, sprinkles don't taste like anything, right?
Yeah. Do they cause cancer? I mean, like, if there's a cancer
in high doses.
What doesn't cause cancer in high doses?
I mean,
there's your right wing radio rant.
I bet. You know what I bet doesn't in high doses?
What's that?
Chemotherapy.
I think it might.
Yeah, it's radiation. I think that would.
But it might give you superpowers. So there's a trade off. I don't know that
how the Hulk got his superpowers. Not chemotherapy, but radiation.
Bruce had lymphoma.
Yeah,
he went in.
It was gamma radiation, though.
So this guy, Sprinklegate. I think it's bad enough when Americans overuse things being gate, and I believe that there is some confusion because I think sometimes it is a play on Watergate.
Yeah, I don't understand adding gate to anything.
Right.
Because
the
if
hotel,
it didn't occur at the Watergate Hotel, then it doesn't make any sense.
Well, and sometimes they add gate because it's an exclusionary issue where you are gatekeeping. So it is a term that is becoming ambiguous, but it's applied to similar situations where people are trying to express outrage. And I, for one, think we need to spend a lot of time talking about it.
Yes.
The next hour of this podcast is going to be a discussion.
A lot of time. Well, it took me forever to figure out what it was and why sometimes it made sense and sometimes it didn't. And it's because
I am here to explain, clear this up a little bit. A lot of people do assume that it is from Watergate, but actually it is from the 1992 film Stargate,
Oh.
starring James Spader and Kurt Russell, later spun off into the TV show Stargate SG-1.
Starring
Richard Dean Anderson
nice.
of MacGyver fame.
I think it's Harry Dean Anderson.
No, it's
No,
definitely not
that's just Harry Anderson was the guy from Night Court. Richard Dean Anderson was...
Harry Dean Anderson MacGyver is who was...
No. Richard Dean Anderson is MacGyver. Harry Anderson is Judge Harry Stone.
No, I know who Harry Anderson is. That's why Harry Dean Anderson uses Dean, so they don't get him confused. Harry Dean Anderson...
You're thinking of Harry Dean Stanton.
No,
who
he
is
was Quantum Leap.
No, that's just...
That's Scott Bakula.
That's Scott Bakula.
Harry
and
Dean Stanton is in
that's
Quantum Leap.
Dean Stockwell. Dean Stockwell.
No, Harry Dean Stanton is in Quantum Leap.
No, Harry Dean Stanton's in Repo Man. Harry Dean Stanton's in a ton of stuff. Cool Hand Luke. Dean Stockwell was in Quantum Leap. He was in all kinds of stuff too, but not as much as Harry Dean Stanton.
I think you're confused.
In Dune, which comes out in the theaters this weekend. I'm excited to see that.
Do you think it's going to be good, or do you think it's going to be terrible?
I'm excited to see it. I mean, I like the book, and I think it could be really cool and fun and good to watch.
So I looked this up. Erythrosine comes from coal tar.
Oh, that's the planet you go to live when you're Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Kolob.
That's where erythrosine comes from.
That's right. It was all chunks of it break off and come to Earth as meteorites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Joseph Smith lives there eternally, and occasionally, when he knows the world really needs it, he goes and takes out a golden pickaxe and just breaks a chunk of the planet off, and it flies into the atmosphere and comes down to Earth in capsule form.
Aims it at British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And little salamanders find it in the woods and bring it to him. Bring it to the elders of Zion late at night. You don't know about this?
I am so pleased by this story.
I think that wraps up. Are we ready to wrap up here?
What? I mean, I would like to also talk about just Mormonism for a little while there, and how
Titty Man's a Mormon, right?
Oh, Titty Man is very Mormon, incredibly Mormon. Sure. You know what Titty Man's catchphrase is? Titty Man's catchphrase for being a Mormon is "Mo wives, mo titties."
How many wives does Titty Man have?
Well, he's still working on one. Still working on the first one. He's got a number of ex-wives, but
that's probably fertile fields for his comedy. Talking about his ex-wives, that'd be
actually, a lot of that's way too painful for him to actually bring up on stage. He doesn't really have the skills to like bend that into something humorous. It's just pain, just a lot of painfulness.
Mm-hmm.
So this comes out on November 3rd. What do you got coming up, Mike?
November 6th, the Riverboat Gamblers will be in Orange County at the Punks in the Park Festival. And then on the 7th, the Draculas will be in Dallas, Texas at the Bomb Factory with the Toadies and Nashville Pussy and the Reverend Horton Heat.
Wow, that's quite a show.
Quite a lineup. And I'm sure there are other things happening in November that I am forgetting.
Well, this is only the 3rd, so you'll have the opportunity to let our dear listeners know what's coming up that they might want to go out and see now that people are hopefully going out more often and supporting music acts and comedy acts of all kinds, of all stripes.
And I think that wraps up another week of the International News Service.
You didn't ask me if I was doing anything, what I had going on.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Brian. What do you got going on in November?
When does this come out again?
That wraps up another week of the International News Service.
You're a real son of a bitch, Kevin.
Find us across social media at International News Pod. Email us at internationalnewspod@gmail.com. Steal every phone that you see. Open up the podcast app and subscribe to INS. And check our merch store at Redbubble and our Patreon. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the International News Service. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. INS, the news you need.